All right. Well, thanks for being here and present for an Open Doorway online service. And some more people filing in as we speak. We will begin with service with a non-denominational prayer. And we can close our eyes and take a few deep breaths as we enter this space of rest and relaxation and healing. Divine Parent, thank you for granting us this space as a community. All these like-minded individuals coming together, sharing in your wisdom, infinite light, and power of healing given to us so that we may utilize in healing ourselves and in others. And may this healing energy take hold and provide us with that health that we so need to continue our journey. And so it is. Amen. Let me share my screen for our principles. All right, so if you'd like to read along with me, you may, or maybe just quietly in your mind. I always compare these principles as mantras as well, something that we emit the energy outward into the world. We subscribe to the following principles. Infinite intelligence, the deity, the designing and creating energy for everything in the universe. Number 2, one universe, many dimensions. From one source came all that is present in our world, our galaxy, and beyond. Number 3, the immortal soul. The soul is eternal. We seek truth within ourselves, from other souls, from sacred writings, and from the natural order that sustains us. Number 4, communication between the material and the non-material world. Spirit transcends all dimensions. All souls, flesh, and spirit communicate with each other. Number 5, personal responsibility. Cause produces effect through thoughts, words, and deeds. We create ourselves and our circumstances, and we are singly responsible for our choices and creations. And number 6, the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It is our highest morality. All right, thank you. So yeah, in these service, you know when I'm using my iPad for service, when you see my finger go to the screen. Well, as you might have noticed on the email notification for this service, that I did want to devote a little time to talk about what I find important in my life, and I suggest to have that importance be in everyone's life, is that importance to expressing one's grief. And recently I lost a friend, a dear friend of several years, And some of you knew this friend in life, and might have maybe heard his name in passing as well. But his name is Alex Murray. He was trance medium of 50 plus years, and he was a very good friend of mine and many others in the spiritual community, and just a wonderful, wonderful person and a generous, generous soul. And I was just very fortunate to have known him in life and receive a lot of that generosity and that kindness and that love. I felt it was a topic of great importance that need to express our grief. Now, most of you, when having been in the, maybe doing some research on spiritual books, or you probably have come across the Tibetan book of living and dying, which does offer a lot of help and guidance, even if you're not Buddhist. There's most definitely some helpful exercises and meditations in it. But I was skimming through it just to see if there was anything that jumped out at me related to that expression of grief and its importance. And I came across a metaphor, an analogy for the types of grief that one can express. We have two. We have the non-healthy and we have the healthy. And yes, there is healthy and there's unhealthy expressions of grief. And the metaphor was that if you were to hold a coin in your hand, and that coin represents whatever of importance in your life that you lost, whether it is a loved one, a relationship that had ended, maybe even a job that you loved or experienced, and you have it in your hand, that coin. And if you were to process that grief in an unhealthy way, and you tighten and tighten around that coin, if I were to say, let go, the coin would drop, right? But in the book, what the author then goes into, if we are able to alter or change our way of processing grief in a healthy way, it's like flipping your hand over. And that attachment that we have, where we really hold on to something, that we tighten our fist around that thing that we are grieving, that eventually, when we were to experience that release or respite from grief, we would open it up and the coin would still be in our palm. So I can't stress enough the importance of healthy expression of grief. You probably could name off a bunch of different ways that you can be unhealthy about expressing one's grief, like drugs and alcohol, but in excess, but also lashing out at friends or family. Those are all unhealthy expressions of that grief. But let's talk about the importance of the healthy expressions of grief. And that way, then we can put those as priority in our minds. Well, first, you have to express your grief. That's the only way that one can come to terms with it. And when I say come to terms with it, getting over it isn't the right phrase about grief. Because for those who have lost somebody, a loved one who has passed over, that feeling of them not being there never really goes away. And the task of grief is not a forgetting of them or a forgetting of your pain or your anguish over their loss, but the ability and strength and resolve to be able to exist with that part of your life that is left empty. And through our efforts, our personal efforts, mixed together with time, we begin to coexist with that feeling, that loss. And the first stage of that ultimate goal in that existence is to go through that grief. And grief can manifest in so many different ways. As many as there are people on this planet, that is as many possibilities of how grief is expressed. And there is no one book. This is one example, but there are so many. There's no one book that gives all the answers to one's griefs and how to express that. And there's also no one person to tell you how that grief should be expressed or how to manage it best. But I know for a fact that it takes patience, but not just patience with everyone around you, patience with yourself. Because if you're impatient, because when we're in that moment of grief, oh heck, the first thing you want is it to be over. But that is devaluing that experience. Because we also know that grief is an extension of the love that we had for that person or that moment or experience in our life that we lost. And we want to treat the feelings that we had towards that whatever we lost with as much importance as it did it when we actually had it in our lives. And so treating yourself with a delicate delicateness towards that experience of grief. And we know that also healing is not linear, and that grief isn't just from point A to B and then it's over and you're done with it. Grief can come up in any moment and over a span of many years. For example, some years ago, and those who are present here knew my godfather, Reverend Paul Baudet, and I knew Paul my whole life, and he was Uncle Paul growing up. And when he passed away on December 21st. And that day will always be in my mind. And I will never forget it, probably till the very day that I transition. I will never forget that date, or even all that happened the day that he did die. I'll never forget it. That is an extension of my love for Paul, but it's also an extension of my grief. That I will always remember that date. And it's not that I'm not able to do anything on that day. I'm able to live my life and accomplish my goals or what have you on that day. But I take that time, that moment, and maybe my busy schedule, and I try to give myself space to reflect on that person and what they meant to me and how they influenced me. And I check in with myself. I say, all right, how are you doing? This is year so and so. How do you feel that you have changed in that time? Are things better since then? Are things maybe worse? How can you take that extension of that love and grow upon it? And I always like to check in with myself and ask myself, how have I grown? And however much time since that person transitioned. So that's one example of how grief can even expand and continue on in our lives without even us realizing it. I think I'll never have a glass of Prosecco without thinking of Paul either. and all those little things. But I was able, through that, allowing myself to be patient. Yes, I had my frustrations with that grief, but I was patient and kind with myself. I allowed for that, for the tears to flow. I asked for help when I needed help. I had the amazing support of friends and family through that time, and continue to have that support. And even though someone may not have known Paul, or maybe even someone in your life may not have known whoever you had lost, or had don't know the intricacies of maybe a relationship that had ended, but we've all experienced some level of grief with similarities sprinkled in. And we at least know the generalities of that experience enough so that we can offer sympathy and compassion for those that are going through that same experience, but in the present. And I stress the importance of reaching out and asking for that help when needed and when it's called for. And also the allowing yourself to have a good cry about it. I often sometimes feel that urge to express that emotion of grief. And it often is that emotion of grief. There are most definitely other aspects and emotions of grief, but we know a lot. The main one is tears, and how important and healing those tears are, and giving yourself that space. And it is often very common for others to say, I don't have the time. I need to be strong. I have others that depend on me. Tears are for the weak. Oh, maybe if I don't cry, I'll forget it. But all that keeping in is like you tightening around that coin, and how when it finally all just kind of breaks, what we hold dear to us is lost. So those, I often say those particular reactions to allowing yourself to express that grief, it's though that you're keeping them inside and it's festering. And it begins keeping those emotions in and not allowing them to be expressed, is a festering of the soul. You begin to feel tired, you feel drained. You may express them, that bottling up through anger towards others, and or maybe just frustration and sadness and anger towards yourself. And it could be a decline in mental health, and you become depressed. But I want to stress the importance of expressing all the emotions and frustrations through that experience called grief, and saying that despite a lot of its unknown aspects of why we go through it, we know that it is to strengthen us in our journey, to offer us that healing that we need, and to also connect us even more with the person or the experience that has been lost. And I also, with all those that I have lost in that transition called death, or even the experiences of lost relationships, or things that I truly wanted, the things that I really worked hard for, even those you experience grief. I've learned that through that experience of grief and that coexisting with that loss, that I have a deeper and more profound connection with the present moment and the life that unfolds before me in that present moment, but also a deeper connection to those, especially those that have transitioned. I most definitely miss the hugs that Alex Murray gave me, as well as my godfather and the other people that I have lost in my life. But I was also able to find and discover on my own that that relationship does not end with death, that it continues. And I am thankful for that, because it led me here, my grief. And because I had also grief even before Paul passed, and it led me to spiritualism, and gave me so much hope, but wisdom, but also it gave me a group of people that support one another, a family, a community. And that's when, through grief, a beautiful thing can arise. And I can't stress that importance of that expression of that grief, because my expression of my grief led me here to you all. And Paul, Paul most definitely, if you were to ask him, I was very conflicted in my early 20s, and I didn't have a lot I felt to be happy about. And I was angry with myself. I was disappointed in myself. I was frustrated with myself. And I didn't allow myself to grieve because I thought, oh, I have to be this way, or that's I don't want to deal with that because that's, who wants to deal with grief, because that's no fun. And I polluted my body with things that made me forget about that grief and that anger and that frustration and that unhappiness. I was filling a void, but it was only temporary. So all of a sudden in my mid-20s, I was like, I got to change something. I can't keep going down this road. And I knew what was polluting my spirit for achieving whatever I wanted to achieve, and to grow and to continue to love and learn on my journey. So I just even screamed up to the universe and said, okay, I give in. I give in. Take me where you need to take me. And I'm gonna make the effort. And I did. And I made that effort, and I allowed myself to be patient and grieve and reflect on my experiences, which I thought were random at the time with no meaning. But funny enough, my experiences are coming back up and being applied to what I do now. And I'm thankful for them now. And I appreciate them and respect them. So this is my little talk about the importance of grief. And I'm sure you all have experienced that level of profound grief and allowed yourself to, and it's, again, it's still present, it's still there, but allow yourself to coexist and live with it. And when it does come up, you know that it takes priority, and that and you're like, okay, I got to sit with this for a little bit, or talk to a friend, or maybe go connect with nature, or meditate. Anything that positively affects you through that process. And that doesn't devalue your experience, because drinking to forget, or taking drugs to forget, or being angry, or putting somebody down in order, and I know not any of you are like that, but to do that in order for you to squash or forget about the grief is to devalue that experience, but also devalue that love that you had for, or whom, or whatever you lost. And every event, every moment, every experience is important to you and to everyone around. So thank you for listening, and I hope there was something that you got out of it. And it's actually very helpful. Elise messaged me and sent me a really great reference to a book entitled "The 5 Invitations," and the tagline is "Discovering What Death Can Teach Us About Living Fully." This is actually the first time I've heard of it, so I'm actually going to.
Yeah, he's one of my death gurus.
Oh wow!
He's all over YouTube. Mm-hmm. He is a Buddhist. He began a Zen hospice in the 80s. He helps people transition. Mm-hmm. He is, for me, probably he's a living death guru, and he's very involved in training hospice workers and all people who have to deal with death and grief. And his ideology is something that it's incredibly special.
Mhm.
And he puts it in very plain words. And I find him to be really, really very helpful in the journey.
Mhm.
So you might as well.
Mhm. Well, thank you, Elise, for sharing. And I'd like to share also another a book that actually gave me a lot of healing, and it's actually written by one of our good friends, Kenya Hall. She wrote a book called Letters to Grief, and it's a beautiful book, and it really, at its core, is and if you know Kenya, it's one of her mantras. It is okay to not be okay, and it talks about a lot of that experience and the process that she went through her own grief. And there's some really helpful meditations in here as well too. And I got a lot of wonderful things out of it. So I'm going to send the link to the Amazon. I still haven't yet. I've been meaning to ask Kenya to sign it for me, but I have kept forgetting or haven't gotten the chance yet. But there's so many other books too. Another one that I've also I picked up this randomly too. At I think it was at a thrift store, and I was drawn to it, and I've gotten a lot of helpful things from it, and this takes more of a non-denominational. It's not really. There is some reference to spiritualism in a sense, or at least our beliefs, like but this one, The Heart of Grief, and this is by Thomas Attig, and I think it's a really well laid out book, very well organized. It's more, I feel, helpful in processing what you're going through in grief. Gives you personal stories from people that Thomas Attig is interviewed, and then kind of talks about those individual experiences, and it's really good at covering a lot of different aspects of grief and a loss, whether it be for a loved one or a job or anything else. So yeah, I really like this one a lot too. Yeah, I really appreciate you all being there and for each other and those experiences, and for me in my moment of grief. I know there's a few people who had that knew about Alex Murray that reached out to me, and I was very thankful for it. The road is most definitely bumpy, but it's getting easier every day. And even though I am a psychic medium and a spiritualist, grief is still one of the hardest things to go through, and because it's necessary. It's a requirement, that grief. With loss, there is grief. To however much it is on that spectrum, how powerful it is, grief is necessary, and it is really a part of our journey in this life, and a learning to experience it in a healthy way and grow from it, and utilize that space and that time for healing and rest as well. And so why I felt it was important to talk about it and during a healing service, because grief is our path to healing. for loss. And it's grief is like that, that medicine that we take for ourselves when we're sick. And however or whatever is expressed through in our grief is that medicine. We may not like taking medicine, maybe taste or it's but it's necessary to get ourselves to be healthier, and I recommend it. And I feel as though that we can help others also put value in their grief, and offer them that space. I always tell people when I tell people that 25% of my job is people crying in front of me, and it's part of the work, and but I love holding that space for people, that they can feel comfortable expressing that emotion in front of me, that makes me feel like I'm doing my job. And they always seem to want to say sorry for it, crying in front of me. And I always make a point to say to them, please don't be sorry. You have nothing to be sorry about. That's what I'm here for. And you need to cry. You need to express that emotion. So don't be ashamed about it, and don't be sorry about it, because again, that would devalue the experience. So offering that to somebody too is healing. And so I appreciate those that offered that space for me, but also I ask all of you to, and I'm sure you all have offered that space in some point in your life to a friend or to a family member, even a cat or a dog. They do also grieve, and they're interesting in their own ways. Just can't stress enough that importance to your spiritual growth, but also your mental and physical well-being. So thank you for listening. And what we'll do for the last 20 minutes of service is meditate and allow that healing energy to be brought in. So Irina, you came at the right time. Meditation. All right, so let's close our eyes. We can be laying down. We could be sitting Indian style. We could be sitting in a chair or a comfy couch, wherever we're sitting. Let's close our eyes and get comfortable, whether it has to be an adjustment in your legs or arms, body. And then begin to just be present and conscious of your voice. I was going to say your breathing, but that's it. Very interesting. Anyways, be very present in your breathing. Really feel that air being brought into your nose, and feeling your stomach expand. And then the release, feeling the air pass through your mouth. And exhale, and feeling that your diaphragm contract. Continue to take those deep breaths and be aware, ever present in that breath. We quiet our minds. We empty them of all the thoughts, any worries. All that we hear right now is calm breathing of ourselves, the sound of my voice. And begin to relax your body with every breath. You feel the weightlessness, the loosening of muscles. And you feel this relaxation come over you like a wave, touching every part of your body. Goes to your face, all the muscles that we use to express ourselves, relaxed, not needing to express anything, but just being. And it's that relaxation goes to your neck and your throat. We use this to communicate our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts, our wants, our needs. We have no needs at this moment, no wants for anything. We are just present. We are just being. And so the throat is relaxed. The tenseness in the muscles in your neck loosen. And it makes its way down to your chest and shoulders. Like approaching water on sand, it makes its way. This relaxation furthering down to your stomach, down from your shoulders, down your spine, all to all the muscles in your back. And further down to your hips, into your legs, into your feet and toes. Your arms still. Also receiving relaxation. Tools to lift, to hug, to carry, to pull, to push. None of that necessary. All that is to be present in this space and just be. Feel the tingling in your toes and fingers. And now your whole body feeling completely relaxed. And you feel its warmth and soothing nature of this relaxation. You feel protected. You feel supported. Everything is taken care of. And all you need to do is just be here with yourself in this space. While in this space of relaxation, envision yourself in a dark room. In this dark room, there's a table, one of those massage tables. We recognize it as an invitation to lay down for a little while in this space. And walk towards it, and you lay down. Begin to get comfy as you wait for what is to come. That healing energy. After a moment, having laid down on this table, in this dark room around you, you see a figure illuminated, coming closer. This illuminated figure is tall, slender, has limbs but no recognizable features or face, just a body of light coming forward. And standing before you. While you see this light figure before you, there's no fear, only excitement. You recognize this figure as a friend, a guide, a healing force. You see the vibrations of light, and it gives you hope and joy. And you know you are supported by this figure and loved. This light being, with its mind, its consciousness, seeks to know what ails you, to know what troubles you, and for you to allow that healing from them to enter your body and heal it to perfect health. This light figure leans in closer, and in this space, Whisper to yourself, what needs healing? What do you need to be healed? Maybe it's an injury, an ache, or pain, discomfort. Maybe it is a worry or a concern. Or maybe it's healing that you want to extend to somebody else that needs it. A friend, a family member, any loved one that you feel that needs that. Just whisper that, whatever it is, or however many it is, out loud in this space. And this spirit of light will hear you. I'll give you a moment to list all that ails you. After stating all that needed to be healed, this light being places what you suspect are hands and places them on your heart, the center of your chest. You feel that warmth, that energy. You feel the light from this light being be absorbed into your body. And like a feeling of relaxation, you feel this light spreading slowly from the center of your chest, going up to your neck, chin, face, eyes, mind. Goes to your shoulders and your arms and your hands. It begins to spread to your back. This light moving down your ribs and to your stomach, your hips, sacral chakra, down your legs, knees, shins, and calves, to your foot and toes. This light spreads till you are also aglow, same as this light being. You cannot make out your face or any distinct features. You are of pure light. And you feel its warmth, love around you, and the support. You can express all that ails you in this space. And you feel that embrace of the light. Let you take a moment to sit as this light radiates the healing to every part of your body. Now, after having received this warmth and this healing energy, the light being before you brings it back within itself. You still feel the tingling, warm sensation and its healing vibration that was given to you. You have tears on your cheek, and you feel the love of this being. And the love that you have for yourself, and allowing it and receiving it. And you feel blessed. And you know that you can face anything. And you can figure it out, even if you don't know at that moment that an answer will come to whatever questions that you may have. And you see this light being walk away slowly into the corner of the dark room. You hop from the table that you were laying on. It feels as though you can run a marathon with the energy that you have now. And this darkness, this dark room fades away. And you become aware of yourself in this very moment. As though you are watching yourself in meditation, however your position, wherever you are, you see yourself in this very moment. And you smile. You are content, you are happy. You know that this vessel is by no mistake, no accident. There's a purpose for you. And you are loved and supported in that purpose. And you are a blessing. So don't forget to offer yourself that thanks. Your spirit realizes you must go back into your body. So wherever your body is positioned in meditation at this moment, your spirit walks towards it. And enters you. Re-enters the body, whether you're laying down or sitting in a chair. It's like you're climbing into a comfy bed just made for you. And you feel the weight of your body again, sensation of your fingers and your toes, the heaviness of your head. And the couch or chair, seat or bed, whatever is holding you up, you feel the texture and the weight of your body against it. And the stir, the noise of the room around you and outside. Become conscious of this present moment inside your body. And when you are ready, you may open your eyes and return. So I hope it relaxed you and offered some healing. What I will do a little different today is I will close the service with our prayer of spiritual healing. So I'm going to put it up on the screen. It will be our benediction and also the prayer of spiritual healing, because I really do love it. So, and I think it's appropriate. I'm going to share my screen so that you can read along with me. We're going to say it together. Prayer for spiritual healing. We ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from our minds and bodies and to restore us to perfect health. We ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and we will do our part. We ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. We put our trust in the love and power of Spirit. Amen. Well, thank you all for being here and joining me. And I appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Thank you, Terence.
Hi, Mary. It's nice to see you in a house
Yeah.
or apartment. Not that I don't enjoy the outside views that you have.
It's cold here.
Yeah, it's been a bit chilly.
Yes.
So, but I hope that you all got something out of kind of impromptu talk.
It was lovely. Thank you. It was
Thank
lovely.
you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yes, thanks very much.
Mary. And thank you, Larry,
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah. And thank
Thank
you,
you.
Abby, Tim, for being here, and Mary, thank you, and Elise. Always lovely to see all of you.
God bless.
likewise.
Bye-bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
Bye.
Terence,
Bye.
have a good week. Bye-bye.
Yes, too. Many blessings.